good afternoon. Thank you very much to the panel. So all of them work with fantastic global brands. So I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and describe how they're relevant to this conversation a little bit. But to start off with, how many of you have seen Transformers film or used seen a Transformers product or have a relative who's got a Transformers toy? Hands up, like a massive proportion of you. And this is people from around the world. So that's a brand that Jen works with.
Yeah.
So do you want to describe what you do and how that's relevant?
Sure, good afternoon. I'm responsible for 4 major areas at Hasbro. The first is collaboration tools, which are primarily internally focused. I'm responsible for our digital asset management platform, which is where we store all of our rich media. The third piece is e-commerce. I'm responsible for the e-com platform. And then fourth, which is probably most relevant today, is that my team delivers over 700 digital experiences for our brands, and we do that in 38 languages.
And that's brands such as Transformers, My Little Pony, like major brands that you will have heard of.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, so my name is Mike Zarrilli. I'm the head of global business development and partnerships for the Weather Channel. I've been there about almost 10 years at this point. I realize or hope I'm not speaking to a hostile audience as it relates to presenting the weather here in Ireland. And apologies for the fog for most of the people coming in yesterday. I'm in charge of driving audience and global scale for the Weather Channel via partnerships with carriers, OEMs, and also local partners, which we'll talk about a little bit.
Gary?
My name is Gary Lin, and I'm the founder of Glispa Media. We are a global mobile marketing company that guarantees results. So we provide user acquisition and monetization solutions for global brands and app developers. And we specialize in multi-channel, multi-market campaign launches. So that was a deliberate decision, very early on. And currently we have campaigns live in over 180 countries.
So, Jen, kicking off with you, how do you take global brands such as Transformers? That's a global launch. How do you make that relevant to local markets? And even then down to local markets, down to personalization.
Yeah, well, it starts for us with our brand blueprint. If you think of, I'll use Transformers as our example. The brand, we wrap storytelling and global consumer insights around that brand. And then we activate the brand across 4 dimensions. It will be with our entertainment. So that could be a film year, or it could be Robots in Disguise, which is an animated series. We'll do it with physical product, which is what you're accustomed to seeing in the toy aisle. The third place would be with our licensors, and fourth, digitally. And then digitally, what we do is we create a strategy through our digital marketing department that defines the shape of what we're going to be doing with the brand online, but we allow each market to customize that experience so that it's, well, 1, in the right language, but 2, that the content can be served up in a way that's most meaningful for them.
I mean, Gary, you're working with brands across multiple markets, multinational brands. What's important do you see? Clients come to you, they're going to launch an international product. It's a massive launch for a mobile app. What's important in launching those brands globally?
I mean, incidentally, Hasbro is actually a client of ours. Magic the Gathering is another great brand where we're promoting their digital products across I think roughly 15 countries, so across EMEA and APAC. And I think there's 2 fundamental things that we feel are necessary to orchestrate a global communication strategy. One is a comprehensive campaign management and analytics system. It's crucially important to be able to very efficiently analyze and look at what's happening across such a diverse set of distribution channels, and also to make real-time adjustments along the way. I think this is especially true of digital content and digital entertainment advertisers. So oftentimes we'll start a campaign with some priority markets, but we quickly shift and based on what traffic sources is generating the right ROI and actually shift our budget in more or less real time. So that's something that we've built up. And secondly, I would say to have a globally diverse team. You know, there's really no shortcuts. And I would argue also to have a very centralized media buying capability. So we have 40 nationalities, you know, that we kind of brought and assembled from around the world in Berlin to specifically cater to clients that have those global ambitions. And one example of another gaming client is, you know, we had a social influencer campaign, and they asked us to identify in Russia YouTube gamers, celebrity gamers, and to you know, negotiate a promotional campaign for them. And one of these influencers actually created original rap song about the game, using, you know, content and images and music from the game, and it generated in 3 days, you know, over, you know, 1.5 million views on YouTube, and also 200,000 players. And this wouldn't have been possible without having, you know, a dedicated team focused on this particular market, which was Russia, to negotiate and you know, kind of customize the buying technique for that particular advertiser.
No, Mike, they've talked about influencer marketing and obviously some very cutting-edge things there. IBM is a massive player, and you're saying they've recently purchased the digital assets of the Weather Channel. How is that significant to the future of global marketing?
Yeah, so maybe a little bit dissimilar to Jen from a consumer marketing perspective. The Weather Channel takes more of a, at least at this point with their global plan, takes more of a B to B to C marketing approach. It's very partner-driven. So first of all, we have to start with a product. You have to start with a platform. And we've built a global platform that has over 2 billion forecast locations. We serve over 25 billion API calls to partners every day with weather information. We have products across a number of different platforms as well. And so we have a product that we can take a global approach to, but we are not right now focused on consumer marketing. We're really focused on partner marketing, and that takes two paths. Number one is with mobile distributors, OEMs, carriers, et cetera, making sure that we're doing things that allow them to brag about themselves. So you have, they have different operating systems, they have different SDKs, different features that they want to promote, and if we want to be a part of that and bring ourselves along, we have to be developing for all of those latest and greatest things. So we're very keen focus on making sure that we're making our partners happy in the consumer space, who will then take the word out. So we've done a good job from a global perspective. We power a number of OEMs, Apple being probably the most prominent in their weather products. But we also understand that there has to be boots on the ground, and there has to be a local presence as well. And so we have just started to launch into striking local media partnerships. The first one we just launched and announced was in Germany last month with Berta Media and Tomorrow Focus. And so we've brought our global capabilities of product and technology, and they've brought their local capabilities of advertising and marketing and content to drive engagement, to drive more fans. And ultimately, what we're trying to do with our product is to enable decision-making. We want users to take the same weather data and make whatever decision they need to make. The same piece of data will mean 13 different things to 13 different people, and we want to make sure we get that data in the hands of the right people. So to Murray's question, if you think about IBM and the Weather Channel and the heritage of both of those brands, it might be a little bit of a head-scratcher as it relates to what that purchase is, but if you think about where we are now and where we're going, it makes perfect sense. IBM has been investing very heavily in IoT and cognitive computing, which is a term I think I've heard about 15 times in the last 6 days, and I'm getting my head around it. But in sitting in one of the panels over in the other stage from someone who was presenting from IBM, cognitive computing to them is not something that's going to help you think, it's going to help you make decisions. And that's where we come in with our weather data to help people make decisions. We aren't Internet of Things, we can help influence decisions of things. And so that's where we feel like the fit will be perfect.
Thank you. So Jennifer, how are you identifying large groups of people in foreign countries? With such large brands, how do you find those people across hundreds of countries?
Yeah, Yeah, we do that in a couple of different ways. So we have local marketing and sales offices all over the country, and they're working with organizations like Gary's to identify unique demographics that we want to go after with very specific brand messages. We also have a big data program, so we're doing social sentiment listening to identify what people are saying about our brands so that we can modify some of our strategies to be responsive, not just at the corporate level, but making sure our local markets have that information in local languages so that they can work with their partners to tweak those campaigns. Those are probably the biggest areas.
Gary, how does that translate to you as an agency? What are the brands looking for when they come to you?
I didn't catch the question.
So
Sorry.
what are the brands looking for when they come to you? What are they looking for in terms of deliverables?
I think the guaranteeing results comes with having very deep integrations and transparency with our advertisers. So we are very mobile focused, and with all of our key clients, we have real-time data when it comes to engagement rates, when it comes to in-app purchases, and even transactional data. And this is all being fed into our proprietary system to be able to do better targeting and quicker decision making. And I don't think we have any clients really just focused on one market. The average, we're working with about 500 different brands across, many different geographies, from Zynga to Hasbro to Guild to Baidu, Flipkart in India, and on average, they're running campaigns across 9 different markets. And I think that's been a form of diversification for our business, but also for many of these either digital content or m-commerce advertisers. Again, I stress that it's not easy to do a multi-market launch, but they're oftentimes where they think they're going to generate the highest profitable customers is actually not the case. And unless there is a strong optimization technology and data management platform that we're actually building now to make quick decisions, that's sometimes the difference between a successful product launch, or in many cases, the difference between a successful company and not.
So, Mike, talking about personalized marketing, it's great data, obviously, with the huge consumer brands. How are you taking that personalized marketing approach to advertising and business partnerships?
Yeah, so I think personalization can mean things on the consumer side, it can mean things on the advertising side, and also even on the B2B side. Again, it all comes back to our data. On the consumer side, we are trying to drive relevance for that data. We're trying to drive decision making, and so features in our application around when the rain is going to start, when the rain is going to stop, to be able to enable those types of decisions. But the personalization can go far beyond the consumer product. A product that we have created at the Weather Channel called Weather Effects, which is an advertising-based product. It's a product that takes weather data and it takes sales data from companies like Walmart and puts that together and starts to make insights around what are the products that you should optimally be promoting at certain weather conditions. And we've done that in the past for current conditions, but we've just recently started doing that over the last year or so with forecast conditions. We can also tell from the data that in Boston versus Miami versus London, the behaviors may be different for the same type of weather and the same exact temperature. And that's really insightful information as it relates to advertisers. Nike, for example, has just started a really cool campaign called Snow Day, which resonates for me both from a weather perspective and also from a sports standpoint. And what they're doing is advertising the different gear based on the different weather conditions, and that all of that advertisement is going to be layered into our product seamlessly so that the advertiser can start to be a part of the weather story. But that's the second prong, and then the third prong is business to business. There are tons of, and obviously from the IBM deal, there are tons of executions here that can happen from an insurance standpoint to make sure that users prepare to keep their car away from hail versus other energy decisions and insurance decisions. There's so many things that weather really makes a meaningful impact, and so that personalization can go across all of those genres to help to drive value for the consumer and for us.
So, Gary, we talked about sort of deep dives. How are you seeing, how are brands working with different channels, and what kind of localization needs to take place?
Well, I think one thing we're seeing compared to maybe even a decade ago is I think the consumer tastes are converging with obviously with mobile and social media, but they still turn towards us in terms of not just translation, but having native speakers, direct marketing speak, and having that resonate. We've seen so many examples where things fall, very short, and we are seeing a big shift of emerging market advertisers target more mature markets, which we haven't seen in the past, and I think that's largely due to the whole ecosystem being less fragmented than maybe the desktop space. So yeah.
And you were speaking earlier about how you leverage people and the knowledge of people in different markets. How is Hasbro doing that?
Hasbro,
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Well, it comes down to having great process, to be candid. Okay. I have a relatively small team of people who are responsible for interacting with all of the markets and making sure they understand what we're doing, when we're doing it, and giving them the time and the space to create custom content that is appropriate for their markets, and then to bring that back into the sites that we're working to deliver. And they're going to, in some cases, decide that our experience is not going to work for them, and that's great. We want them to make decisions that are appropriate so that they're having the greatest impact with their dollars, with their market.
And maybe to add to that, I think what's happening is, with this convergence, they're generally across the board, they are looking at taking more contextual data, and we get into this whole topic of discovery and product discovery and making ads more meaningful. So that is something that every market is recognizing, whether that's taking weather data or looking at surfing behavior data, and I think every company, especially in the ad tech space, is trying to take a crack at that, but it's a huge challenge simply because of the enormous amount of data that needs to be processed in real time to be able to do that. But a lot of companies are making, I think, a lot of headway there.
So we've got 1 minute left. I'm going to open this up to the three of you. What's one thing that you see is super exciting right now?
Well, on a personal level, Star Wars is coming out. I'm very excited about that. We have some amazing toys coming out. And contrary to the last speaker, who apparently did not like Furby, we have a Furby Chewbacca mashup called Furbacca coming. It's fantastic. But for me, I'm actually really excited about content. And the digital asset management platform that I'm responsible for at Hasbro, it serves two purposes, really. It both protects our IP, which is of paramount importance to us, but it also allows us to get that great content into the hands of global marketers so that they're not having to go out and pay for it over and over and over again. Let them take what we've got and then bring that to their markets in really exciting and creative ways.
Anyone else?
I'm really excited about the fact that we can transform to becoming a technology company and be relevant to an infinite amount of possibilities, and I'm really excited to see what comes from all of those executions on the data side.
Gary?
Native advertising, and not simply just the look and feel, but again, breaching that boundary of useful content, of product discovery. I think the best is yet to come.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So a round of applause to our panel.
Yeah.